Some rules are just there. We see them, we accept them, but we never really stop to ask, wait, why is that a rule? Well, today we're doing just that. We're looking at a huge, well-known religious practice, but through a totally different lens, an organizational one. And trust me, the answer is probably not what you're thinking. All right, let's just get right to it. Why are priests and nuns celibate? I mean, that's the big question, right? And usually you get these really complex theological answers. But what if? What if the reason has less to do with God's will and a lot more to do with something way more practical, like good old organizational design? So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at why we even forget to ask this question. Then we'll dive into the surprising logic the organization had. We'll see how this idea pops up elsewhere, get into the messy human side of things, and finally, we'll hit the big one. Is this a rule from heaven or a law made by man? Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the forgotten question. Seriously, this practice is so deeply baked into our culture that for a lot of us, it's just normal. It's just how things are. But the source material for this explainer really pushes us to stop, take a breath, and ask the simple, powerful question, why? And let's be super clear here. We're not talking about some minor guideline. This is a massive, life-changing commitment. It's a rule that completely separates these religious figures from pretty much everyone else. And if you really want to understand the organization itself, you have to understand where this rule came from. So you might think, okay, this rule must have come straight from God, right? Well, what's fascinating is that our source material tells a completely different story. It suggests the origins aren't really theological at all, but instead they're super practical and all about, well, running an organization. And here's the key takeaway. Celibacy, in this context, is framed as a structural choice. It's a system that a human organization put in place to create a very specific kind of person, a holy figure, right? Someone who is completely 100% dedicated to serving everybody. And the logic behind it is actually kind of brilliant and really simple when you think about it. If a priest doesn't have a wife or kids, if they don't have their own immediate family to worry about, then nobody can ever accuse them of playing favorites, right? In theory, their loyalty isn't to their own little group, it's to everyone. Okay, so this idea of setting aside your family to serve the public, it might sound exclusively religious, but it's really not. And this is where it gets super interesting because the source draws this parallel that just opens up the whole discussion. This totally reframes everything, doesn't it? It's asking us to stop seeing celibacy as this weird religious thing and start seeing it as a leadership principle. I mean, think about it. We expect our presidents or prime ministers to work for the whole country, not just to enrich their own family. It's the exact same logic, just in a religious setting. And this isn't just a one-off idea either. The source points out that in Buddhism, monks leave home. The Korean term is truga. It's literally the same core concept. You put aside your blood ties, your personal family, so you can serve the bigger community. The words are different, the religion is different, but the organizational strategy, it's exactly the same. Okay, but here's the catch. You can design the most perfect, pure system in the world, but at the end of the day, you have to fill it with actual people. And people are messy, complicated beings. This is where the clean, simple idea crashes right into a much more complex reality. You know that image we have in our heads of some young, innocent person joining a monastery or convent, totally untouched by the world? Well, the source material basically says, yeah, let's throw that image out the window. The reality is often way more complicated than that. And get this. This might actually surprise you. People don't always show up on day one as a blank slate. A lot of them come to these organizations after they've been through the ringer. We're talking about people who've been married, divorced, who've suffered incredible loss. They're not running from nothing, they're looking for a refuge. So the source lays out this very human, very real cycle. It goes like this. Someone suffers out in the world, so they renounce it and join the order. The organization gives them shelter, stability, comfort. But then, once they feel safe and comfortable, those old human feelings, those thoughts of family and connection, they can start to creep back in. The real insight here is that the struggle isn't over once you sign up. It's a constant, lifelong thing. All right, so we've seen the organizational logic and we've seen the human side of it. All of this has been leading to one place, the absolute core of the argument. We're ready to tackle the main claim now. The source brings up this key concept, biopche. It's basically an organizational system of law. And the idea is that every organization, whether it's a giant tech company or a church, has to create its own set of rules just to operate. And celibacy, it's presented as one of those rules, an internal, human-made rule designed to make the system work. And then comes the mic drop, the most direct, blunt statement in the source material. It says, God never told them to do that. The claim couldn't be clearer. This was never a divine command. It's a rule made by people for an organization. So this is the fork in the road, the huge distinction we have to make. Is celibacy an absolute truth handed down from heaven, or is it a man-made system created to solve a very human organizational problem? According to this analysis, the answer is crystal clear. It's the latter. It was a choice. Okay, great. So we've taken this rule apart, but so what? What's the point of all this? And the source is really, really clear here. This isn't about criticizing anyone or tearing down a religion. It's about building a new skill inside of us. And this is the real lesson, the big takeaway. The goal isn't just to get the celibacy rule. It's to learn how to look at all the systems around us, in society, in politics, at work, and see how they were built, to understand them without just immediately judging them. It's like developing a new pair of glasses for seeing the world. So, at the end of the day, the lesson is to look at all the different cultures we live in and start asking those key questions. Hey, why do we do it this way? Who actually made this rule? And what's it really for? It's about getting past that simple, I like it or I hate it reaction and moving towards actually understanding the world that people built. So really, this whole analysis of one rule, it's just a practice run. It's a tool that you can now use in your own life. And that leaves us with one final and maybe pretty challenging question. What are the rules you follow every day, without question, that aren't divine truths, but are just choices made by some organization a long time ago?